you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I took a poll and I promised to share my top 3 mason jar gifts. And with Christmas being just around the corner, I definitely needed to do it this week. So we still have quite a few weeks left before the holidays, but I like to be prepared. Some of you probably like to be prepared, so I wanted to share them here in November so that you had them ready to go. Okay, so one of the best things I like to do for the holidays is just to give something, even a little something that you homemade, to lots of people. I love to give them to my friends. I love to give them to people at my church. I love to give them to teachers, just different things that say, hey, I'm thinking of you this holiday season and I hope you have a Merry Christmas. And that can get costly if you're doing that for a lot of people. And so one of my favorite ways is to make something. Now, there's so many options, and I've done so many things from lotions to soaps to candles and made them, and all of those things are easy and simple, and I love to do those. But today, I'm going to show you my top 3 kitchen-related or recipe-related mason jar gifts that I love to give out during the holidays or really anytime. These are great gifts just to give at the end of a school year or for any holiday. It doesn't just have to be Christmas, so you'll see that they are not strictly Christmas related. Okay, so the first thing that I am going to share with you is a split pea soup recipe. Now, the reason I love this one so much is that you probably have everything. If you don't do split pea soup very often, you may have to buy the split peas, but they're so cheap from the grocery store. And they keep so well. So it's not something that somebody has to make right away. They can have them stored on their shelf for a while. And all you do is add water when you're ready to make them. So it's super easy. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 2 cups of split peas and put them in a quart-size mason jar. I have a half a cup soup here, so I'm just going to do 4 of them. And then now all you're really going to do is just add some spices. Now, a pint-sized jar is just a little bit too small for this measurement, so I went with a quart-sized jar. You are going to have a little bit of space here, but you could tie a nice ribbon on and it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so what you're going to need... Okay, so you are going to want a half of a teaspoon of celery seed. You're just going to lay it right on the top. You're going to want a tablespoon of dried minced onion. You're going to lay that right on the top. And actually, you probably don't need the funnel anymore now that your peas are in. And then you could do a tablespoon of dried minced garlic. Or I didn't have any of that, so I'm going to go ahead and do a half of a teaspoon of garlic powder. Now, minced garlic versus garlic powder are going to be a lot stronger, so you just don't want a whole tablespoon of garlic powder. That would be a lot of garlic. So I'm going to sprinkle in some garlic powder. And the final thing that you're going to do, now just from making these gifts, I have these chicken bouillon cubes. You can, with foil and all, just stick it right on top and put a cap on. And now all you need to do now is make a nice tag, put a ribbon on here, and you have a gift ready to go. If you didn't have one of those little cubes, then I would do a heaping teaspoon of just the chicken bouillon powder, and that would be just fine on top. When you give this and when you make your tag, you'll just want to put on there to dump all ingredients, take your cube out of the foil package with 4 cups of water on the stovetop and boil for about 30 minutes for it to soften up, and then you have yourself a split pea soup. So easy and simple, and people love this kind of gift. Okay, gift number 2. So you're going to need a pint-sized jar here, mason jar, and this is a hot chocolate mix. So this would be a perfect gift for kiddos. And what gave me the idea is a couple years ago during Christmas time, someone gave at our church gave all the Sunday school kids a little jar of hot cocoa mix with some marshmallows and stuff in it, and it was so sweet. And the kids, my girls, loved it. They made themselves hot chocolate morning after morning, and they thought it was the best thing ever because it was their own little mix. So that gave me the idea. I'm not sure what she had filled into that jar in terms of if it was just like a store-bought that she poured in it. But what I'm going to share here is the halved recipe of my normal everyday hot chocolate mix that I make for the kids that I keep in a quart-sized jar for the family to use. So what you're going to need for this, for a little pint-sized jar, is 1 cup of sugar. Now you can use any sugar that you like, but if I'm going to make my own, I want it to be healthy. That's the whole purpose. And so I use half coconut sugar, so a half a cup of coconut sugar, or you can use maple sugar, or just white cane sugar if you don't care about the health part of it. And then I'm going to use a half a cup of brown sugar. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a third of a cup of cocoa powder, and this is just a good quality cocoa powder that I get on Azure Standard. And I'm going to add that to the mix. Now I'm going to take, and this is just a little bit of additives, but I'm going to go ahead and take 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt and stick that in. And then I'm going to take 1/8 a teaspoon of cinnamon, and I'm going to stick that in. And that just gives it a little added flavor. Okay, so now you have all of your things mixed into here, and you're going to want, I forgot myself a spoon, to mix it all up so that your cocoa powder, because by itself would be very bitter, that's what the sugar's doing. You want to mix it all up so it becomes just a regular powder that you can add to milk and make hot chocolate with. Now at this point you have your mix, and you can just cap it, put a nice ribbon on it, and give it away. But there is some fun things you could add to it. I don't have any marshmallows, but you could sprinkle some marshmallows right on top. Another thing that would be fun, and what I'm gonna do on this one, once I make sure, see there's still some down here at the bottom that's not mixed in. I want to make sure and get it all mixed up. Okay, and then I'm going to sprinkle in a few little mini chocolate chips. Another thing you could do is you could do a little bit of M&Ms or large size chocolate chips. They don't have to be the mini ones. But this, when it gets all melted up and hot, it will be fun, and they'll melt inside there, and they'll enjoy having a little bit of chocolate chunks on the top of the hot cocoa mix. So now I'm going to go ahead and cap it, and I would put a nice ribbon on it and a tag, and this would be a nice, fun little gift for a child. Okay, so mason jar number 3, and I have a little helper that decided to join me in with this one as she came out. Okay, so what I have in here, so this one is an all-purpose meat rub, or rub for your meat. So you can use this on chicken, you can use this on pork, you can use it on beef. It is so delicious, and it really like caramelizes when it hits the pan with it because of the sugar. It's really good. Okay, so I have 3/4 a cup of brown sugar in this bowl. Paige is gonna be my stir. Oh, you know what I did forget was salt. Okay, cannot forget the salt. So this with the brown sugar, you want to also contrast with some making it salty as well. So I have the sweet, and now I'm going to add in 3 tablespoons of salt. And that is going to make it very delicious. Okay, and now I'm going to do paprika, and I'm going to do 3 tablespoons of that. And then I'm going to do chili powder, and we're going to do 3 tablespoons of chili powder. This gives it a little bit of a kick. Okay. And 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. We love our garlic around here. huh? Okay. 2 tablespoons of onion powder. The best part about this is that this heaping bowl of this big rub can make many gifts. So you are gonna be thrilled with how many gifts you can get out of this. Okay, and then we want 1 tablespoon of oregano. This is my oregano from my garden last year. And we want 1 tablespoon of ground cumin. All right, Paige, go ahead and mix it all up gently and get all of that into a nice, try and get some of those salt chunks out so you don't get any saltiness. And then once you have it nice and mixed, you can fill your mason jar and get a couple mason jars out of it. And then you have it, you just put a nice ribbon and tag on it, and people can rub that down on any meat and it make a nice, delicious meal. All right, should we fill it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We got a couple chunks in here, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Our salt. So when we buy a good quality salt, you don't get any of those additives that make your salt not stick. So there's things that they add to it so that your salt doesn't stick together. And so you just kind of got to work that out when you're buying good quality salt that does not have the additives to make it non-stick. All right, you want to do some?
Yeah.
Okay.
We still want.
Okay, so we got all of our clumps out. We want to put the lid on.
Yeah.
And actually I filled 1 full pint jar, all of that seasoning mix. So you can take them into half pint jars. You can do the little flat ones for the rub, however you want to space that out. But that'll make a whole pint-sized jar. You can get it on. And there you have it. So you have 3 separate mason jar gifts that you can give to anyone, really, and it just lets them know that you're thinking about them and that you love them, and you hope they have a very happy, Merry Christmas. All they need now are just some tags with a nice little saying on them, and then they're ready to give away. So I hope this was helpful, and you don't need to spend a whole lot of money on fun Christmas gifts. You can do something as simple as this right here in your own kitchen with your little helper with you, and just spread some Christmas cheer. Have a good holiday season.